Well, we knew there was rivalry.
And punches are still being thrown.
So you go for 10, one you go for.
Well, Blair may as well start walking because he's not going to stay there.
So it was Adam Blair and Glenn Stewart in an embrace of the century. Hang on, we've got to stay.
Oh, it's on again! It's on again! Glenn Stewart and Adam Blair, and here come the reinforcements. Now they've come from the bench as well.
So Glenn Stewart has been sent, and Adam Blair is about to be sent. Well, I haven't seen anything like this in this modern era.
Well, that's a waste. They'd like their last few minutes over, wouldn't they, those two? What a waste.
Hard to forget that one, the Battle of Brookie, the Storm and the Seagulls, and what a rivalry it has become as well. Let's bring in one man that was on the pitch that night in the Storm colours, and that is their great Billy Slater. Hello, Bill.
G'day, Brace.
Your memories from that night?
Yeah, it was things boiled over that night, and that was probably a result of many big games against each other. I just heard Gus mention you play a big game against the team and like a grand final, and a rivalry starts, and it all started in 07. But this night at Brookvale Oval, it was tempers sort of escalated, and it all started with Ryan Hinchcliffe and Darcy Lussick, and then obviously these two, Adam Blair and Glenn Stewart, they got sent to the sin bin and they reignited it. I think the only punch that connected was Brett Stewart that coming in from the side. But, yeah, it was a wild night at the Brookvale, that one.
Did you feel it building through the night, Billy?
I probably felt it building through the years, Sterling, more than the night. And, we look back at last year, and Will Chambers. Again, Gus, you mentioned when the fans get involved, that's when you know it's a real rivalry. And the altercation between a fan and Will Chambers, who got sent to the sin bin at Brookvale last year, shows it's still alive today.
Bill, did you throw any or cop any in that sting?
I tiptoed my way around that brawl. No, I kept myself out of that one, Freddie.
The grand finals the teams have played against each other. I mean, there's been some very different stories when you go back to 07, 08, Bill. And this, we're 13 years on, and it's still just as fierce.
Yeah, well, when you play a grand final against another team, like we said, a rivalry starts. But when you beat a team by a record margin, and then you play them again the following year, and they rewrite the record books with a 40-0 loss, it's it was certainly a huge rivalry. Also played some finals against each other, and then you look into the fights. Starting with the Battle of Brookie, and a couple of years ago we saw Curtis Scott and Dylan Walker go head to head, and that was probably more of a personal battle than a rivalry between the two clubs. But don't underestimate the coaches' involvement in these rivalries and all rivalries.
I was just about to ask, what was Craig Bellamy's attitude to this, and was it ever premeditated in any way?
No, certainly that sort of behaviour was not premeditated. But coaches are always looking to motivate their teams, and they've got 25 weeks a year to get their team up. It's not an easy job, as a few coaches sitting on the panel would know, but they're always looking to remind clubs and their teams of previous performances. So, we look into going into round three in a couple of weeks' time, and Parramatta come up against the Broncos. The Broncos will certainly know their last trip down to Sydney playing the Parramatta Eels.
Billy, in retirement, is that one of the main things you miss, the intense feeling that you get coming into preparation for those games and during the contest itself?
Yeah, the adrenaline. I don't think you can replace the adrenaline to run out onto a rugby league field in an origin. And, Freddie, you mentioned that's the biggest rivalry. It certainly is. And, when you play those big games, that's what you train so hard for. And you put all those hours on the training field to get yourself up for. So it's an adrenaline rush. And, you certainly miss that in retirement.
Bill, thanks for reflecting on what is a great rivalry in the game. I appreciate your time on the greatest, as always.